Welcome to ESAT Tips and Tricks. Today I'll be talking about inserting your ESI findings. I'm Dan Sharp. I work for Navy Munitions Command Cones West Division, and I'm the creator of ESAT. When we're going to input our final ESI report findings, we want to create a checklist for each of the UICs. The way we do that is we identify the UICs in the charts. When we go into ESAT, we select New Checklist. We identify the sites if it's not already in place. In this case, we're going to be utilizing Indian Island as an example. ESIs are administrative in nature, not facilities. And then we're going to select Explosive Safety Inspections. Press OK. And then that brings us to our checklist, where we can fill out our header. Now the date for this is going to be the first date of the inspection period. So we'll want to go into the ESI report, find out what the dates of the ESI was, and take the first day of that inspection period and put that in at the top. We have to change that. That way every deficiency that's going to be written up will reflect that particular date. We're going to identify the inspector, which is normally the ESO of the installation. And then we're going to add one more item. We're going to find the team leader. We're going to select the UIC. Make sure the UIC is in place. Then we're going to give it a record number, something like ESI year 2016, or however you want to number these things. It's up to you guys. Just something to reflect, maybe ESI 16 and then the UIC numbers. Okay, a record number, so that way you know that that particular item is for that particular UIC. That inspection is done. Then we'll want to come up to the team leader box, and here we find that it's Miss Maria Benton, and we'll take their last name for the team leader, and we'll input it into the box. We'll copy it into the box under other record ID. Okay, that way we'll have a history of who the team leader is for specifically to ESI reports. Okay, then you can fill out the department, whatever you need, and once you finish the header, click on submit, and then that captures that inspection. It creates that checklist so that we can start recording deficiencies, or if there's no findings for that particular command for that particular ESI, all we have to do is click finalize. We can utilize the ad hoc feature, or we can go through the checklist and try and eliminate some of our work as we're going through. We create our deficiency records. We fill in the information. We can see that the header information is already logged in, and then we're ready to submit our findings. So we go into ESAT, and we go into our report. We capture the first part of it. We input it into the box, copy and paste method. We need to give it the program and element. Obviously this is program 1, element 1. We'll let that record take, and then give it a probability. In this particular case, it's pretty much administrative in nature. We'll want to make sure we get the correct reference. So we see that the first part is the OP5, so we check that from our list of values. Then that's the OP5. Now since it's already there, we don't need that particular part. What we would like though, however, is the appendix part or the chapter part, or everything all the way up to pertains. Copy and paste, that way we're not screwing things up. And we drop that into the reference box. We insert a recommendation, and if you want to, you can also provide a blurb from the instruction by placing it into the publication text. In the case, I'm just going to leave it out, but I am putting the recommendation, and make sure that the completed training needs to be conducted. Obviously there's spell check, which is nice to have. Boom. Scroll down, we select our UIC, our points of contact for that particular UIC. Let the system do what it needs to do. And then once we're finished, we submit the record, or we can save the record. If we save the record, if everything's filled in, it's going to get submitted in 109 hours. If it's not all filled in, it's going to get deleted and it will be deleted from the checklist. Okay. In this case, I'm actually utilizing the no checklist, the no feature, the yes and no feature, and I find the finding. I look it up on the checklist by using the find feature. I click on no, it pops right in. In this case, what I did was I converted my report into Excel, so it's easier for me to manage, especially when you have a lot of deficiencies. And then I literally do a copy and paste because I had already put the selected the no button. It knows already, because of the functional guide, what reference parts there are. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to take out the publication just to be neat, and then keep the paragraph and part and make sure that they're both the same. Then that captures. Then the only thing I have left to do is the probability, the severity, and the recommendations. So I'm typing in the recommendation. Then I give it the probability. Then I give it a severity. I see the rack is there. I see everything else is there. I can then select my primary and alternate POCs if they're there. And if they're not there, I just go ahead and submit. And I move on to the next one. One of the great things about being able to utilize the Control F or the Find feature in the upper left section is type a keyword in there. If there's any keywords inside there, then they'll be displayed. You press Next, and it'll be highlighted within the checklist itself. So you type in the word up there, right there, and then you want to go Next. It pops up ready to go directly to the issue. Now, once the checklist has been created, I don't have to finalize it yet, and I could always come back to it. So here I am the next day coming into finding my checklist. So I'm going to do my search, and I'm saying that the system isn't working, it's timed out on me. So I need to do something to trigger to get me back into it. So I'm doing a refresh. Click on Home on that other tab. Remember, we have the two tabs for that workaround. And then once that refreshes, then I go back to the checklist listings. Wait for it to filter. And wait. And wait. Almost done. And now we're back. And then now I go back into my site. I do my filters for Nutmeg and Indian Island. For all my checklists, I press search. And you can define the search even further. In this case, it just gives me all the Nutmeg and Indian Islands. I then come down to the May section where I know that I was working with. I see all of my findings are there. They're being captured. The numbers are correct. I double check the UIC, the number 11. There's 11 deficiencies there. I make sure that everything's good. Once you're finished with all the inputs and everything's good, then I can close out the checklist by pressing Finalize. Just to make sure, I go ahead and view the checklist, and you can see that it's still open. and then I click on finalize. It says, are you sure? Because it'll be the last thing that you do for this checklist, and then that's that. You can't add any more. And then I press OK. And then that captures that inspection. It shows you that it's recorded successfully. You have to have that window. And then once that's done, then you go ahead and close out. Cancel means closed. And then now the next time I come back into that checklist, it's going to show me a closed out inspection checklist with only the findings that were listed, all 11 findings. At this moment in time, the view is only for 10 deficiencies, so there'll be 2 pages. The header's there, all your deficiency information is inside of there. You know it's captured safely. There's your ESAT control numbers. If they're pending, they're going to show a pending deficiency on there. So it won't have the full control number. But the ESAT control number is there. It's listed, page 1, page 2, back to page 1. And that's it. We close out the inspection, and we move on to the next UIC, and we start the process all over again. And that concludes our training.